Joining us live now to discuss is retired four-star Army General Barry McCaffrey, also national security commentator for MS Now. General, thanks for being with us tonight.
Good to be with you, Joyce.
What does it tell you that both sides say they have this signed deal, but all of the details are being kept from the public?
Well, look, Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island, a longtime friend, decades of experience in national security and foreign policy, put it best by saying this is not a deal. This is a deal to make a deal. Some good news here. Probably the fighting will stop. Probably the Straits of Hormuz will open and the world's oil supplies will start normalizing. Clearly, we devastated Iran's conventional military power. But other than that, we got nothing. The nuke program has not been addressed in any serious manner. The Iranians are likely to get initially $24 billion and then have access to a $300 billion reconstruction fund guaranteed by the Gulf Coast states. The ballistic missiles were not addressed. The Israelis were frozen out of the negotiation and been informed they're to leave Lebanon, which they're not going to do and shouldn't. So it's a real incomplete disaster for the U.S. strategically.
So then how much confidence should Americans have in this agreement when we still don't know what's in it? And to your point, it seems like all of the pieces still don't fit together.
Well, again, to emphasize the good news is probably the fighting will cease. Probably the oil tankers will start exiting both from Iran and also from the Gulf Coast states, which is vital. I mean, these are our allies, to include Saudi Arabia, and a lot of their oil has to come out by ship. So that's all the good news. I think from then on, what we had was Mr. Trump throwing in the towel. He had no options. From a strategic perspective, the Iranians now know they can control the strait. They have a chokehold on the global economy. And I think they also understood that at the end of the day, Iran is not going to give up their nuclear program, period. I'd be unsurprised if within the coming 5 years, they don't have a dozen nuclear devices. They've got the fissile material, they'll recover it. Without inspectors on the ground, there's no way to stop that Iranian nuclear development.
So when all is said and done, after more than 100 days of this war, what does the United States gain?
Well, I think it was a strategic net loss. I mean, when you go to war with a concept that on the opening night of the war, you'll kill the opposition leadership, military and political, which we did, the IDF did, and then devastate them with air power. The expectation by Mr. Trump was that we'll have essentially an uprising of the Iranian people, 40,000 or so of whom were murdered by their own government in January. So he thought this was going to be a clean win in 3 days, and instead it's turned into a real disaster. We could win the war conclusively by putting a ground invasion into Iran, but that's clearly not on the table politically in any way. Huge U.S. casualties. So air power alone simply cannot deliver a victory.
And then what has it done to the U.S.-Israel relationship, do you think? Where does that stand tonight?
Shameful. I think Netanyahu did think that exterminating the senior Iranian leadership in one blow would help Israel. Probably did. But we ended up with a continuity of an Iranian hardline regime that we now got to negotiate with. And the negotiators, the new supreme leader, we killed his wife, his dad, his mother, and a sister. So we shouldn't expect a whole lot of flexibility from the Iranians, particularly on key issues like nuclear weapons. I think this war has convinced them they must have nuclear weapons. And I don't think we have an arm on forcing them into a very good surveillance scheme to prevent that from happening.
And then finally, I guess, how should military families and the public at large interpret this deal and what we're going to gain out of it?
Be proud of what you did. I mean, there were 21,000 aerial attacks on Iran during the war. We lost essentially, as far as I can tell, 3 aircraft. I mean, this is incredible use of air power and naval power. The U.S. Army THAAD and Patriot missile batteries kept thousands of people alive shooting down Iranian ballistic missiles. So the military did their job, but you can't deliver a political outcome from a stupid start to a war.
We're going to have to leave it there. General Barry McCaffrey, always a pleasure to have you on with us. Thank you so much.
Good to be with you, Joyce.
Thank you.